Hey guys, welcome back to Clownfish TV. This is Kneon. I am here with Geeky Sparkles.
Hello.
I found her.
I'm here.
She was missing yesterday. She was out and about doing things.
I was doing things.
And now she's back, and we're going to revisit the situation with the New York Comic Con online. And I think what we want to talk about in this video is how the fandom has basically moved on.
Yeah.
From these official Comic Cons and from other geek media outlets.
Well, I would say the outlets. I mean, cons are still going to be popular. The ones that come back. I don't know how many that's going to be. But the con scene and what we're getting are two entirely different things. I want to clarify that because people are like, you just hate conventions. You just hate New York. That's not what we were saying at all.
No, we actually...
It's not the same damn thing.
Yeah, I've given up on trying to understand why people comment on our videos sometimes, because a lot of them clearly don't watch the video. They just look at the thumbnail and they're like, that's what this is about. I'm going to write you a nasty comment.
Right.
And move on to the next video.
This isn't about the actual event or other conventions. That's a different thing. This is Hollywood desperately, we already seen it for years. How many years has San Diego become all about pop culture and Hollywood compared to comics? They are mostly pop culture Hollywood events based on what's going on in the movies, and it's all Hollywood trying to use it to leverage themselves. And I think people are just getting sick and tired of Hollywood.
Yeah, the actual fandom has moved on, and we're going to talk about this because New York Comic Con, I mean, this isn't to bust on the quality of the panels. Some of the panels actually looked pretty good. And I was shocked at how little traffic they were getting. But we saw this with the San Diego Comic-Con too. But yeah, Hollywood is having a really hard time cracking YouTube because YouTube can't be controlled like a lot of these geek media outlets. Right.
They dangle free tickets or whatever in front of them as long as they give them the proper review and they jump at it, or they're just pandering for Hollywood. And meanwhile, the American people, I think in general and I think globally, are just effing sick of Hollywood because it's gotten to a point now where if you don't like a certain thing, you don't like the character design, well, that makes you some kind of bad person and bigot. I don't like the story. Well, that makes you some bad person and bigot. Now they're trying to say flat out who can and can't have jobs. They're discriminating against people based on race, which is bad when anybody else does it. They keep putting these, LGBTQ representations in or minority representations that are stereotypes and then yell at people for, not thinking they're the greatest thing ever. It's just a constant strong arm. And now what we see with the awards now, they have to have so many check boxes to qualify, or ABC with their new diversity initiative. All you're doing is making everybody hate you. And they're just turning around and, you might have some valid points, but you're doing it in such a way that it's not organic, it's not, you're natural, and you're telling people that they don't like it, they're bad people. So they're like, F you, I don't care. I'm going to go watch The Boys instead. It's just,
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because I put a video up the other night, and I was curious, when we first started talking about New York Comic Con kind of being a bust in terms of views this year. This is what was running live at Comic Con. The Harvey Awards. So we're talking like everybody who's been nominated is probably...
Well, the awards were... But the winners were announced days before the panel.
Okay, so yeah, it wasn't really shocking. But they had, a live stream for the Harvey Awards, and they had a live stream for another Hulu show. And we only had, 174 people watching both. These were the two live streams. They were running up against Friday Night Tights. Again, all of these people have their own YouTube channels. They all talk about pop culture. They all have, hot takes and opinions, but they're all, I would consider, authentic voices. 5,000 people watching against the New York Comic Con.
Hell, just when we go up on things, we get like 2 to 3 usually.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just us.
And that's what, it blows my mind. Again, like Hollywood is trying desperately, these pop culture outlets are trying desperately to play catch up, but they spent so many years demonizing YouTubers, especially the comic book media. Like I'm gonna be honest, I don't feel the least bit sorry for any of these comic book media outlets if they fold, because for the last 2 or 3 years, they have made it their mission to attack and insult YouTubers and actual comic book fans, Star Wars fans. They've gone out of their way to try to control the narrative.
But that's what Hollywood's doubling down on this year as well. We're doubling down on it. We're seeing it everywhere. And the people are basically rebelling against it, which is what we'd expect.
Yeah, it's like, I don't understand Hollywood in this place. And I talked about that with Disney too. Like, they can't afford to lose any more fans. But they're, instead of being like, yeah, you know what, we got to hunker down and make money, they're playing the fiddle as Rome is burning. Like, literally, their studios are burning down. They're laying people off. They're hemorrhaging cash. And they're like, now is the perfect time to introduce some new divisive program to alienate even more fans.
Right.
Let's do that now and see how that works.
Because, we tried it. The first 3 times we tried it didn't work. But this time's going to be different. And yeah, you see this crap on Twitter and you see it on social media all the time, these extremists on both sides. But most of America, most of the global audiences are not the people represented in those tweets and those posts.
No.
Majority of people don't even use those social media outlets. And a lot of them, got to stop talking about any of this stuff because they got so tired of being called names. I don't like her. I don't like the new She-Ra design. I don't like her. I don't like the shorts. How very dare you, you misogynist, sexist, whatever. And it's like, I'm not watching your show now. They keep doing it Star Wars. They keep doing it with, so many different things. Star Trek now. They just like, you have to like this because if you don't like it, you're a bad person. And that's the message they keep telling people. And now people are like, F you. At first we believed you. Now we know you're just bullies and we don't care.
Yeah,
we don't care.
So what they're doing is those fans that 10 years ago, the same audience that would have flocked to something like New York Comic Con online, they're already getting their fix from other YouTubers that are authentic.
I wouldn't even say 10 years ago. I'd say 2 or 3 years ago. Look, Happy Halloween Scooby-Doo is getting a bunch of people. That's actually pretty good for one of the current ones going on.
Twice what the Harveys had.
Yeah, when they were going live, yeah.
Reinventing Science Fiction with Humanoids Comics, 34 minutes ago, 148 views.
Now, some of them are doing not too terrible. But most of them are not doing well.
Well, the reason, so Cyanide and Happiness had almost 6,000 views, which is good. I mean, that's good for New York Comic Con, but Cyanide and Happiness also has a YouTube channel and they have millions of subs. So, again, this is just to show you the numbers. Their big day. Their big days, Saturday and Sunday, 121,000 and 300,000 for
today.
Yeah.
Well, that's a little interesting, isn't it? They're not even hitting 200,000 those 2 days. And suddenly today, the last day of the con, they're hitting 300 and some thousand. That doesn't even make sense.
Now, to be fair, some numbers drop later on. This is Social Blade,
so it could
by the
be
way.
some from Saturday, yeah.
Yeah, this is Social Blade, by the way. You guys can go check out Social Blade. If you're not familiar, it gives you an idea of what kind of traffic a YouTube channel gets. And, I'm sorry, but for all of New York Comic Con, with all of these Hollywood celebrities and all of these publishers,
all the media promotion.
All the media promotion. The most you can muster up is a couple 100,000 views per day. In YouTube terms, that is freaking pathetic.
Oh, and then it gets better. Just one of those days is about the amount that watch the boys panel.
It's like half of their traffic.
It was like the most popular panel by a long shot. Like we're talking 100 and some thousand, like it's like 150,000 or something like that. Watch that, as opposed to some of these other things like no one gives a flying fart about.
How can Bill Nye 800 views? I mean, there are some panels on here with some pretty big name celebrities that you would think just organically. And YouTube, you said YouTube is actually promoting this.
YouTube, they were working with YouTube on this. They made a big deal. Leading up to it, they made a big deal how they were working. It was going to be better than San Diego because they learned from San Diego's mistakes, and they're going to work with YouTube, and they were going to premiere their panels, and with those premieres, they were going to, have chats and all the other stuff, like, if you've seen premiere, how that works. And they were going to do all that because they were going to just, really show the heck out of it and make sure that it's successful this time.
Now we have Smallville cast reunion. 14,000 views.
Show from how long ago people actually liked?
Yeah, but people actually like Smallville.
That's what I'm saying. People actually liked it.
Now we're down a cast member because she's in prison.
That's another story.
Here we have Discovery of Witches season 2, 34. Now, okay, so I think what's going on in some of these cases, I think sometimes they're big shows, and I think sometimes they use their own social media accounts to promote a video or something.
But they were the shows people cared about. I'm just gonna say it like it is. The ones that are doing even quasi decent or at all decent are ones that shows you where people are. Where this will show you Hollywood. Look at the panels. Where they're getting views is what people actually give a shit about. And most of your panels and most of the people you're kissing ass and most of the people that you're doubling down on, like the titans of graphic novels, nobody cares. You know, when you have these super, like, there was even their woke show panel. Nobody hardly watched it. Nobody cared. They're telling you, even with their views on YouTube, what they want. And you're just like, you know, oh, we got to double down on that now. It's like, really?
Now, this is surprising. Steven Universe, at one point in time, Steven Universe was so big on YouTube that there were entire channels that popped up literally overnight just reviewing Steven Universe episodes, like the Roundtable, so like they were getting tons and tons and tons of views when the show was on. And to have the creators of the show do a panel at New York Comic Con on YouTube, knowing how many Steven Universe fans were on YouTube, and only get 4,000 views.
Yes, and that was a day ago.
That was a day ago. This thing should have at least had 50 to 100,000. It would have. A couple of years ago, it would have. I'm just floored. And look, this is Hollywood has driven away the fandom. They don't trust you anymore. They don't trust your media outlets. They don't trust your shills that go out there and constantly run down fans. I mean,
they really like that one.
Yeah, MODOK for some reason, which I think looks like an episode of Robot Chicken.
I think it looks like Robot Chicken too.
And I am
People
not
like Robot Chicken.
Yeah. So, I mean, but then again, you know, Marvel might have blasted this out to, you know, Disney might have blasted it. I don't know. But that's kind of a fluke. Demon Slayer should have more people too, but that's actually good for New York Comic Con. You have 2,000 views. I mean, most of these panels are not good. Viz, now, in defense of Viz, they actually sent us some stuff. Viz, if you're watching this video, if somebody from Viz came on Clownfish TV, we sure as hell could get you more views than 1,000.
Right.
So just saying, like, if they wanted to come on, you know, to Clownfish TV.
Is that how you're baiting for people to come on?
I am. No, we actually have a lot of people that want to come on to Clownfish TV. We were not set up before to be able to do interviews, but we have the studio now. But you got to realize, if you come on to Clownfish TV, you're going to have to contend with the Clownfish TV audience, and they're not going to hold back.
They didn't for other people.
No.
Yeah, so I'm just telling you.
Ask Harmony Gold how that went.
Yeah.
That's the thing though. At least you're actually getting unfiltered opinions.
The difference was they were prepared for that and they expected it.
They did, because we actually talked before. I said, you realize, guys, and I have a lot of respect for the guys over at Harmony Gold. I do. But I said, you realize that a lot of our audience isn't into Robotech. They like the original Macross. They think you guys are holding a hostage. You're going to get blowback. And they're like, yeah, we completely understand that. And I'm like, you still want to come on? I said, you're going to get some comment. They said, yeah. So we did it. It actually went pretty well. And we got the comments we totally expected to get.
Yep.
You know, but again, those are authentic, unfiltered fan opinions. And there's been a barrier between these outlets, these studios, publishers, and the fandom. Usually they're media outlets and their PR people. Everything's been filtered. And now that we're breaking down those walls, I think people are in for a very rude awakening of where they actually stand.
Right. I'm just sitting here thinking, like, you know, even a couple years ago, these would have been much busier than now. I just don't think people care anymore. I mean, 2 or 3 years ago, they still cared. They just don't care. And if you go and look at their like most popular videos ever, most of these this week, these last couple of days, are at the bottom. I mean, there's only a couple that make it into the other ones. The ones that were most popular, like from 5 years ago, 4 years ago. Oh, he got 500,000 views. Yeah, like 5 years ago.
Yeah.
You know, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, it's the Boys got 114,000, but the Boys is really popular.
Right.
It's really hot right now. So
even though it shouldn't be, because isn't it problematic?
It's problematic, and we also have a villain that has a giant
yeah, I heard
ding dong that chokes people.
I've never choked on a ding dong. I'll keep it that way.
Yeah, please don't.
Anyway, now the other part that we're going to talk about with New York was that they have the Harvey Awards there now.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Harvey Awards and how they're another award that's just like, sure.
Oh my God. Okay, so let me see here. The Harvey Awards, look, we talked about this before, and look, they get 174 people actually gave a shit that were watching the Harvey Awards. The Harvey Awards, the Eisners, what else do they have now? The Inkpot Awards.
I don't even know. It's all a load of crap.
The comic book industry Circle Jerk, annual Circle Jerk Awards. Look, these are or just rip the Band-Aid off. They're bought and paid for by most of the publishers. Mm-hmm. It's promotional material. It's marketing material. It's no different than the Academy Awards or the Golden Globes.
They're going to say you're lying.
Oh, fuck off.
Tell them your story.
Which one? I have many.
Tell them a couple of the stories.
A couple of the stories. Well, the Harveys in particular, there was some controversy about 10 years ago because some of the publishers were actually handing out pre-filled ballots. The Harveys, I'm not sure how they run it now, but back then, anybody who actually worked in the comic book industry.
You had to actually work in the industry.
Right.
Now I think they let anybody who wants to vote, I think.
Yeah. So you had to work in the comic book industry and you'd be given a ballot and you could write in whatever. But there were publishers out there, companies out there that were actually handing their employees pre-filled ballots with all of their books. Yeah, so it was ballot stuffing. And so at that point, it's not really a meritocracy. Now with the Eisner Awards, you can vote too if you're a verified comic book professional, but even that doesn't mean, it used to be that you had to work for a publisher that was actually like a real publisher. You couldn't be like a self-publisher. You couldn't be a webcomics person, whatever. You actually had to have cred. You had to prove that you worked for like Marvel or DC or some other publisher. And I think it's wide open now too. And you're going to get things that are skewed. But at the end of the day, the publishers know how to game this thing. They don't mean anything. The awards don't mean anything anymore.
No, they're not. I'm sorry. I'm just too busy being distracted by the little uncolored area right there that they missed. It's driving me crazy.
I think the white went out.
I don't know. It's driving me nuts. Anyway.
So anyway, yeah, it was interesting. You pointed this out to me. Well, one, Gene Yang won a lot, which and I've said before, we did a video talking about, diversity in comics and how Gene Yang has sort of been typecast as like the go-to Asian creator who can only work on Asian books. I do like his work quite a bit. I liked his Avatar books quite a bit, but he is sort of the spokesperson or one of the spokespeople for the mainstream publishing industry.
He's their poster child of the year. He's the one they're pushing. And look, he won! Surprise!
Surprise! Now all the publishers can brag about, Gene
But that
Yang.
wasn't the one that got me. The one that got me was the best adaptation of a comic book.
Watchmen. Watchmen won for best adaptation of a comic book. And Watchmen, as far as I'm concerned, the HBO Watchmen series is an unauthorized sequel. Okay? Because Alan Moore didn't want it. It's not based on the comic book at all. They created whole cloth, and
there were other ones that were listed that were far better adaptations.
Oh, yeah.
Like they had, the Umbrella Academy on there, and they had Lock and Key, and they had other ones on there that I would consider more of an adaptation than Watchmen, who I want to repeat and remind people did so shitty that people didn't watch it.
Well, okay, so I got some pushback in the comments from this one. I thought it was interesting. I said that Watchmen didn't do that great, and it actually got canceled. They're like, it's not canceled. They chose not to produce another season. I'm like,
I thought this was old news. I thought it was canceled a long time ago.
It was.
Look at that.
It was. They're not doing a second season of it. Lindelof apparently is not interested in doing another season of it. They said that, they might bring it back if somebody else wanted
Wait. What's the difference between being canceled and they're just not doing another season? Isn't that the same damn thing?
Semantics.
Same thing.
It's the same thing. So people are like, it wasn't canceled. You're just a hater. I'm like, oh, piss off.
So they're saying I'm not a pedophile. I just sleep with children. It's the same damn thing.
Yeah, minor attracted person.
Same damn thing.
Actually, yeah, right. So anyway, what is it going on with Paltrow? Gosh, why did she go all like?
Wait, she's posing for a picture on Instagram naked. One, she's way older than me too, which I'm surprised by. Anyway,
yeah. So it's all fake. It's all sham. It's all Hollywood using pop culture, and this is where everything came off the rails. And we've talked about this multiple times. In the last 8 to 10 years, Hollywood, smelled the money from like the Marvel movies and all of that. And they smelled the money from YouTubers who are producing, get tabletop gaming content and animation, that sort of thing. And they wanted a piece of it because God forbid we cut Hollywood out. We can't, because they've controlled everything. We can't cut them out.
They have to make sure that they always have control of everything.
So they came in and they started, buying up these websites. We talked about Nerdist before. Nerdist and Geek and Sundry, both literally owned by Legendary Entertainment. They started out independent.
Oh, you guys would be surprised. I have a chart somewhere. I have to update it. How many of these blogs are owned by big companies, big studios, and everything else? They're all owned by most of them are owned by these places. So there's a spin put on it. Oh my God, they spun the hell out of She-Ra on a lot of the ones that were owned by them.
Yeah, so She-Ra, produced by DreamWorks, which is owned by Comcast. Comcast, Universal also owns Sci-Fi. So Sci-Fi Wire was constantly promoting.
Why do you think they were always the ones running her panel and kissing her ass? There you go.
But then you look at the numbers again and you see how many people are actually watching these panels when they're put on YouTube or something like that, and they're not. I mean, when they did the Sci-Fi panel on Noelle Stevenson, a couple conventions ago, I think it was New York Comic Con.
It was New York, yes.
We actually sniped it. We actually were reacting to their panel. We had more people watching our YouTube channel commenting on their panel.
Right.
They had like 20 people watching.
It wasn't 20, but they had a low amount, and we just did a video reacting to their video, and our video got way more hits, and then they got mad about it and they kept trying to copyright strike us for stuff.
Yeah, that was fun. That was fun. But anyway, what happened was like Nerdist started out, I think, with the best of intentions. They started out, and this is kind of the situation I think going on with Rooster Teeth and some other companies now too, where they were started by like legit nerds, and then here comes Hollywood. With Hollywood money, and they're like, we can make you a star, we can make you big, and it works for a while, and then until it doesn't, and Nerdist now is like they're not doing that. Look at this, like Nerdist,
yikes,
almost 3 million subs. Nerdist used to be kind of the go-to for pop culture news, and they're lucky if they can crack 100, 200,000 views in a day.
They didn't even crack 200 in the last week or so. That's bad.
I mean, here's their
for that many subs.
Yeah, I mean it's bad. But then I gotta wonder, some of these, since they're owned by Hollywood and there's Hollywood money.
Oh, they've been cheated or boosted, or I'll say boosted. We'll say boosted.
How many of these networks are astroturfed? How many of them are they're using marketing tricks to make it look like they're a bigger deal for ad dollars?
Well, this is also interesting. Their video views for the last 30 days are at 4.79 million, and that's up 55% in the last 7 days. And their last 7 days, these are their numbers, and that's up.
Yeah, there had to have been a day where they had a spike or something.
That's just weird. I'm sorry.
I mean, to put this in perspective, and look, they haven't been a big deal in a while. To put this in perspective, right now, we're getting about as many views on Clownfish as they get. And they have 3 million views, and they're bankrolled by Hollywood.
3 million, almost 3 million subs.
Or 3 million subs, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, 3 million views, and my God, they wouldn't know what to do.
They have a whole, no, they're saying they're at 4.799 million, which I'm looking at the numbers, and I'm trying to figure out how. But that's boosted almost double what it was, 50 or 55% more higher than last time. So I'm like, wait, what were your numbers before? But anyway, that's a little iffy. And we and like these people have whole teams, guys, whole channels, whole groups of people. How are they affording it?
Well, that's it. They're not. In fact, I put a tweet out there earlier talking about an article from last year that Warner Media, since they're going to be doing a lot of cutbacks, and they own Rooster Teeth and Crunchyroll and some of these other networks. Last year, they turned off the money. They were investing heavily in digital media. They were, sites like Mike and Mashable and all of these, even Maker Studios, they were investing in, I guess, at some point before Disney bought them, and they stopped last year.
Oh, really?
So what's going on is these sites have to survive on their own, and when you have individual YouTubers out there that are making more revenue themselves, working out of their damn houses, than these entire teams with their, like, Nerdist is so fucking pretentious. Like, I've seen they have their studio space set up in Hollywood and their elaborate sets, and it looks like a TV show and all that, and I'm like, we get about this much traffic, so I know about how much money that is. That is not enough money to pay a large staff of people and pay for a set like that in California.
Yeah.
That's
it's just it makes you go
Yeah.
But anyway, this is all over the place. But back to the point of what we're talking about first was that it's changing. It's definitely shifting. I think it's not. Partly it is because it's online, and cons I don't think always translate well to being put digital. I mean, the plus side is these are going to be up for a while, so if you missed it, you can watch it. More people could fit into the panel room, quote unquote, than what's usually at a convention. But this isn't bringing the money or the people or that they normally would expect. People are just sick to death of Hollywood. They're sick to death of people, the pretentiousness, you're a bad person if all this shit. I think they're just done. They're just tired of it. If Hollywood go back to making good stuff and stop trying to act like you're the police for everybody else. You're the, whether you're good or not police. What's what I'm looking for? It's just Hollywood going on and on, telling everybody, you know, they're like the moral authority police or something. And people are just sick to death of it.
I think what's going to happen, and this is where it's going to get, wow, look, we've only got 3 people waiting for the Crunchyroll originals. I wonder if they're going to have High Guardian Spice on there.
Well, that's not till 7:40 tonight, though.
Yeah.
But that is a good question. Is High Guardian Spice going to make an appearance?
Here's the thing. Here's what's going to happen. And there's going to be a huge shakeout, I think. The people who cover pop culture media, the Comic Con crowd, to survive, you're going to have to open up your own lemonade stand. You're not going to be propped up by these, you know, the Nerdists and the, you know, New York Comic Con and all of that, because the audience, obviously they're moving on to more authentic voices.
Yeah,
right?
they're just tired of hearing it. They're tired of hearing the spin.
And what's going to happen is it's going to be Darwinism. You're going to have people who can run their own lemonade stand. They can make their own content. They can do it themselves.
And they're going to make it with real lemons.
They're going to make it with real lemons.
They're not going to make it with kumquats and tell you it's lemons.
That's right. Yeah, it's not going to be.
They're not going to demand that kumquats are the new lemons, and you have to go agree with it, or you're a fruit hater.
You fruitist.
Yeah, how dare you?
Fruit phobe. You're just a fruit phobe. They're gonna make their own content. They're gonna do it themselves. They're gonna do it on a shoestring budget. They're gonna make Hollywood look bad. They're gonna make these Hollywood bankrolled websites and YouTube channels look very, very bad. And you know, I gotta think that these studios are looking at situations like this and they're like, how the hell is this guy's channel, former comic shop owner, just some guy with a mic in it? How is he pulling in 5,000 people watching when we got all of Hollywood and we can only get, you know, a couple hundred people watching our shit? And they're going to be like, yeah, you know, Nerdist isn't even worth.
No, what their takeaway is going to be, they're going to try to demonize YouTube people more.
That's what they're doing.
Because they're wrongly thinking that if we get rid of them, they'll come back to us. And that's not going to happen. They're tired of your shit. Whether it be us or people like us or somebody else, they're not coming back to you, not until you have a complete overhaul, pull your head out of your ass, and start, you know, getting a grip on reality and what people actually want.
Yeah, so in the meantime, what's going to happen are more independent content creators are going to pop up. They're going to start making their own comics, their own animation. They're going to do it outside of the Hollywood system. And I think COVID, in some ways, has been a blessing for indie, you know, creators. And I talked about this with the Alan Moore video yesterday.
Well, yes and no, because a lot of these people, we've been doing it before COVID.
Right, but I think now there's going to be more opportunity because Hollywood, since they're so big, they're so top heavy, they're not going to be able to pivot as quickly.
Right, they're not going to be able to pivot, but they honestly think in their head that we can just go throw out all our people in indie and it's going to work. And we saw with Brie Larson and everything else.
Right.
And it's not going to work because it's not the same thing. Again, because they're pissing on your head and telling you it's raining. You know, and people are tired of it.
So it's going to be Darwinism. It's whoever's actually going to, you know, get an authentic audience and you know, speak for the fandom. They're the ones who are actually going to survive.
Yeah.
And if you don't, if you fake and you phony, you're done. You're done.
Yeah, and that's the way it should be because people are just sick of your crap.
All right, so we're going to wrap this one up?
Yes, please.
Okay, so please subscribe for more pop culture news, views, and rants, and we'll talk to you guys later.
Bye.